Guys, welcome to Truth and Transparency. It is Fangirl Friday. Cheers. The newest and latest installment of Truth and Transparency, Fangirl Friday. What Fangirl Friday means is that every Friday morning when I kick off my live broadcast, I will let everybody know, hey, this is what you missed. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now here, welcome on Friday. So this past week's live broadcasts, we kicked it off on Monday with Karen Reed's civil case. So go check it out. That would be September 22nd. You can see Karen Reed's bombshell announcements that she is suing 8 people. Also the Massachusetts State Police and the Canton Police Department. Also on the 22nd on Monday, you could have seen Shanna Gardner, Jared Bridegan. It is a murder for hire case. We are going to be covering extensively here and some exclusives you can only get here. You know me, I like to weasel my way in with, hey, we got sources that other places don't, and they are close to the case, close to the people that are involved in that case. So again, Shanna Gardner, Jared Bridegan, murder for hire. Again, I did the divorce timeline. It's a quick 45-minute video, and you can get the timeline of their divorce and the timeline of their lives leading up into the murders. I'll be having another episode that takes it from there. On the 23rd, which was Tuesday, Tippin' Tuesday, we talked about Charlie Kirk, Idaho 4, and made notes that, hey, guys, I'm going to be going back to Delphi, Indiana, and recapping all of that and bringing some more news and new things to light. Then comes Wacky Wednesday when, holy crap, in the Idaho 4 case, we get the Molly McMichael Justin Stricker CI body cam. You have to check that out. If there is a must, that is a must. It is in black and white. There is no way around it. Molly McMichael and her little crew buying and selling drugs to police officers with fake Facebook accounts. Yeah, fake book accounts. That was in Pullman, Washington. You better believe that shit was happening in Idaho too. Moscow, Pullman, they are like kissing cousins. Also on the 24th, you could have caught the new documents that the state responded to Hippler's batch with the Idaho 4 case. Hippler batch number 2, the state replied to that, and we went ahead and put it out there. Then we start getting into my deep dives with Delphi, Indiana. You can see the digital data of Libby's Cellbrite report. I break that down into a 4.5-hour episode. Now you might think, holy crap, that's long. Dude, it's got it all though. If you want to see the actual proof, the Cellbrite report's there. It's one of the exhibits that was testified at trial, and we break it all down. I follow that up with then the Dylan New interview. Yes, yesterday talked about the Dylan New interview with Detective Mowry. She's interviewed for just over 5 minutes. Check that out. And then last night, again, I go back to Delphi with Libby's health data on the phone, breaking down the location data, breaking down the steps, and then reintroducing one of my theories that I put out back when I was at trial and before I went to trial, that Betsy Blair, her movements are very, very interesting. So go check it out. So welcome to Fangirl Friday. Now, boy, do we have another big show for you. But before I go there, what makes Fangirl Friday so special is that I go to the comment section of past episodes where I get to fangirl on you. Oh, Linda, what's that mean? Yeah, I go like this. I go straight to my past episodes and I go to the comment section and I say, okay, let me see what's cracking. What comments did I think was hilarious? What comments do I think is outrageous? And what comments make me think? So we kind of reverse it up. Let's check it out. Let's see the Dylan Morton interview, I'm going straight to that comment section. And there was a couple ones that I tagged only because simply Mar R, you've been around, and I'm going to say a comment. It says, will we see Hunter in the other interviews? The answer to that is absolutely yes, we will. If one can even call them interviews. Mar R, sit and spin, girl. You highlighted today. No idea who this is, but Shannon Dean 9192. What did Emma Bailey do? Laughing emoji, crying emoji. There's footage of her putting drugs in her ass. I'm going to need that link. I'm going to need that ass. Mar R, I'm going to respond to you and say, is that right? Boom. Nomad Scavenger says on the same Dylan interview, great video, thanks. I think this is the second interview. The first one was outside by a different cop as both stood behind the yellow tape of parking lot. Okay, so I want to address that. This is actually what I believe Dylan's interview for 5 minutes. It was actually her third because that's the initial responders, police officers that come to the scene. So I'm not even considering that like technically an interview. But yes, we went over that, and that's on a past episode. What I'm considering the first interview with Maury, that's what you guys saw. But I believe that there would have had to been conversation, hopefully at the PD, okay, where they're breaking down Dylan step by step. Anyways, so that's the only one, that's the only part of the comment I'm going to address with that because it's actually really, really long, but I do appreciate piping in, Piper. Okay, going to the Delphi bombshell. Libby's phone doesn't go up a flight of stairs. It's seriously a really good episode, if I do say so myself, because it just puts things in perspective. Comments. Classic Overthinker says, thank you, Lana. Love your coverage. Thank you, Classic Overthinker. Sunny. I like the way she spells it. I believe it says Sunny. Sonnie. I'm really loving these extra dives into the Delphi case. So interesting. Thank you. If you go back, I have a playlist set up. This is how I did all the Delphi coverage. I was covering that case right before the Idaho 4 case. Richard Allen was picked up and arrested. And it was literally, I had just started covering the case and breaking it all down right before that actually happened. And then right after he was arrested, the Idaho 4 murders happened. So again, Fangirl Friday. Now I'm coming straight to the comment live thread here. What is good? Mary P got the best mods in the land here. I'm from Cleveland, so we got the best mods in the land. Meg P, I'm about to make you a mod, man. What is up? Welcome. Good morning. Those of you guys that are members, I appreciate you guys. Is it Kaya Moon? Thank you so much. $1.99. Biz for Becca, thank you so much. $5 super sticker. And Dana Lee, member for 5 months. Thank you so much. Woo, okay. So throughout the show, I will be going back to Fangirl Friday and announcing more comments that I thought were appropriate, not appropriate, and extra fangirly. Again, if you want your comments read off throughout Fangirl Friday, all you have to do is comment on a video, and that can happen. Your super chats or your super stickers, just so you guys know, you are donating to the channel then, and what that goes to is your contribution goes to my research, productions, and stuff like FOIA requests. I don't know, printing paper, toner. Dude, I go through so much toner. You would think that my buns were getting tone. They don't, though. Now, last night, before I went to bed, I saw Gray Hughes. I'm like, bless it. Ashley Banfield. God, what a combo. Ashley Banfield, Gray Hughes. If they had a baby, whoa! they had a baby, what would you name it? I'd name it Hunter if it was a boy, and Hunta, ta if it was a girl. Hunter and Hunta. Just released 31. Here it is. Bryan Kohberger on 11/13/2022, right after the murders. But what the Moscow Police Department, prosecutor's office, how they went ahead and delivered this batch is they're calling it 31 surveillance videos that they were going to use at trial for exhibits. Okay. So I'm going to tell you why some of these are super significant. I'm going to tell you why some of these are interesting. And then, of course, you're going to give your comments on what you think about all of this shiz. The first video, and I want to give a shout out because I'm going to be using my boy Outcast's version, is at Costco. Now, Bryan Kohberger will end up coming into Costco, into the screen, right here, with a beverage in hand. It looks like a bottle of water. Okay, there he is. And the woman asked to see his card, his membership card. And it's like he doesn't know that Costco. It's like you don't know that you need a membership to get into Costco, Brian. Do they not have Costco's in Pennsylvania? They have Costco's here in Ohio. You guys have Costco's out by where you're at? Okay. So there is Bryan Kohberger going into Costco. My question would have been during trial is we would have found this out, hopefully. I always wondered when they obtained the video surveillance. Like, I want to call Costco right now and be like, hey, how long do you guys keep your camera footage? Okay. Because if they did not know that Brian's name existed until December 19th, I've always said that, well, that would be well over a month from the 13th. And so they still have their video footage. Because if he didn't buy anything in Costco, right? He didn't buy anything in Costco. How in the world did you ever even know that he went into Costco, right? Well, he had to buy something there in this little area. And then I guess you can work your way back because you're following the white car, right? But to get that surveillance video, I'm just curious. It's after it's over a month long. And how did you get it? So Costco, next time somebody hits my car with their fucking cart in your parking lot and you tell me that you don't have surveillance, I'm going to show you this. And I'm going to say, yeah, I want to speak to headquarters. I swear to God, I have no idea what's in the water, but my car, I should say SUV, has gotten hit literally more times in the past, like just couple weeks, like these little dings. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? People, please return your carts. You are showing your laziness. Like, if you ever want to know if someone's a lazy person or not, take them grocery shopping or act like you have to go grocery shopping just to get something to put in a cart, pull it out, and check and see how and what they do with their cart. If they leave their cart it's a free for all right here and just put it little next to somebody else's car, run. Dude, if you couldn't walk 4 more steps to put it in the actual, like, I don't know, little gated area with the rest of the carts, you are one lazy person. Run. Trust me, I'm already teaching my child about that. It's so true though, right? Now, second video that they were going to use is to show the white car, Brian's, leaving Costco. Remember, this is 40 miles away. I'm sorry, 30 miles away, 40 minutes away. Okay. And I'll show you when it comes into screen. You're going to see it go right across here. There it is. There she goes. There she blows. Okay. And they're like, there you go. There's Bryan. And I'm like, where is this camera at? You know, this is a light camera. Like, where is this camera at? There you go. God, Idaho, Washington, you guys are so beautiful, but you're so. Okay. So you guys see that white car there? They're saying that's Bryan's car. That's Bryan. Now, next up. Right there. Cup of Joe, I think that he was passing by there. Oh, wait, that's good. I can show you guys what they look like right there. Boom. Do you see those little huts there? To the right there, looks like a shed. You guys, that's a coffee stop. When I went, and I've been in Idaho, like 3 times. They were just like all along, just like the 2 main highway, and you just pull off and go right through and get your coffee. I was like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that before. Yeah. And you work like in this little tiny hut. It was just, yeah, it's different. So there is his vehicle. Now think about this. If you don't have his, well, once you got his phone records, then you're able to, like, you know, you're tracking him or whatever. Because remember they put that pen trap and trace on him too. Historical records, they go back. There's the vehicle. And why this is important is they're going to say, here, this is his car. Okay. I have yet to see him get into it. Did he get into it? This is his vehicle. And so this is what it would look like on camera. Because then what they're going to go to is they're going to show that that's his vehicle. That's what it looks like on surveillance camera. This is what they did for Dr. Moore. They showed him getting in and out of the white truck, him driving around the white truck, what it looked like, you know, from the camera, surveillance cameras. This is how they were going to be setting up to try to say that, hey, that's your white truck circling. And then I was like, well, did the truck kill Dr. Drake? Even if that was his truck? And what time was Dr. Drake killed? That's what I thought. So next up. Okay. We're going to see there she is. There she blows right there at the beginning. Another surveillance camera. And this is at 12:46 on 11:13. And he goes and he parks all the way up. He's going to kind of like pull through. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, he's not. Maybe he likes this spot better. Oh, wait, no, he's not. What? I'm going to park over here. So Bryan Kohberger's that type of a parker. Do you guys see that? I'm gonna go back. Pay attention when this car comes in through over here. It's gonna come from your right. Okay, here it comes. There she blows. Total Midwest driver right here. You're like, okay, he's gonna park. Nope, he's gonna drive through. He's going to park there. Nope. He's going to continue to go through. And then, you know what? Okay, I think I'm going to park right here. Okay. Isn't people when people go to parking lot? Isn't it just so funny? Like, why do you pick the parking spot that you pick? Like, are you going for like, I got to be so close? There's another angle of the car. I think this is at Albertsons. And so I get that they would have had Albertsons, but it blows me away that they were able to get Costco. Like, how are they able to get Costco? There's no purchase at Costco. You know what I mean? So now, are they showing him getting out of the car? Because that'd be really, really important to show. And I think that's him back there. I'll show you where. Like, there he is. He's walking across. And he is like right there. That truck looks like I'm going to get him. I think that's him. I think that's him. I think. Again. Yeah, I think that's him that walked in right there. And because he kind of has like, yep, here we go. He kind of has like that. He's like a swayer walker, Some people walk with that swag. Either you just got that athlete swag walk or you just don't. He's got not swag, he sways. Totally different. He is like a sway, long gliding right there. You want to talk about childbirthing hips. I'm surprised that I think he's got some hips on him. Maybe that's why he was taking those selfies. He's like, I gotta get that hip area. You guys know what I'm talking about. So there he goes. He walks in. So they're gonna put him to the owner of that car. That's what it looks like. This is him walking in. And they're gonna have him walking out. He's gonna walk out. Remember, I said I wanted to know what this man bought. What did he buy? What is he doing? And listening to Ashley Banfield and Gray Hughes, and they're talking about how he can just get up the next morning. I'm like, get up, he barely slept, and go, take on the day like this and just act like it's any other Sunday. He walked up to the counter, you guys, with, I have one item, maybe two. He didn't get a cart. That's him right there. Looks like he used cash, because then he's pulling the change out from underneath, or he just entered like the cash. I'm curious if he used cash or a card, because normally you swipe up top if you're going to use the card, and the cash inserts go there. See how he's going multiple times? See that? You guys know what I'm talking about when you're using like a self-checkout. They don't have a camera that gets a better angle. And then there he is, just walking out. Hold on, though. I'm going to go back and show you guys what I'm talking about. Look off to the left here. When he walks up to, after these, okay. Look over here into the corner to the left. And you're going to see people leaving with, right there, they're walking out. Now, he's going to enter right now. See? He walks up and he literally has one thing in his hand. One thing, one item. And now, how many times is he dealing with either swiping a card or putting in cash? See how he goes down like that? He bends down. I get that the bags are in front of you to put like your item in. Okay, so does he deal with is there a cashier there? Is it self-serve? Like what the heck's this? Is it a self-serve counter? I can't believe that would be at 12:57. So we have met 12:44. So in and out of there in 13 minutes. I'm telling you, it looks like he just got one item. And then there he goes. I'm going to drive 40 minutes to go get, and then here he is walking out. Like, la da da da. If this is the person that just stabbed and killed 4 students, right? Barely slept, showers, taking selfies, thumbs up, no bruising, no nothing. You're going to see that on other videos. And then he's going to walk to his vehicle. Now, speaking of parking lots, don't you hate when you can't find you can't remember where you parked? And you're just walking all over the place. All right, so here's going to be another angle of him walking out. He's going to come from the bottom of the screen. Oh, they don't want to show that angle. They're just going to show the car leaving. Okay. Look off to your left here. It's the white car pulling out. I don't understand why they didn't show us this angle of him walking. Like, this is way better. And then so the white car's leaving. And so one of the FBI experts was going to be on the stand and describing these images, this video surveillance. Right there. Oopsies. I want to stop right. I have more. Go right there. Stop. Okay. All right. So far, what do we think, guys? Pretty impressive that they were able to hit up all these stores and be able to get the surveillance well after a month is what I thought was interesting. Well, I think for him to just be able to get up and I'd want to know if this is what he normally did on Sundays, if he drove and went to places and just, hey, I mean, what did he need at Costco? What was he going to Costco for? What did he want? What did he want at Costco? Can somebody Google and see if, because I didn't look it up, it should be, but Costco, they have Costco's in Pennsylvania, right? We have them all over Ohio. Okay, now I want you guys to hear the difference.
Years. It is early afternoon. But let me begin in Idaho with some shocking surveillance video of Bryan Kohberger. It's video that has been under wraps for almost 3 years. It is early afternoon, November 13th, 2022. You will probably remember that was a Sunday, and an ordinary college town in Idaho was just waking up to a nightmare that would turn that town, that college, and dozens of families upside down. Moscow, Idaho, and soon the whole world was just learning that a quadruple murder suspect was out there on the loose. And tonight, we can actually see what that murderer, what Bryan Kohberger was doing while on the loose. He was out and about at a Costco and at a coffee shop and at a supermarket the very morning that he slaughtered those 4 kids in their beds. Out and about like he didn't have a care in the world, like it was any other Sunday. Gray Hughes was the...
Well, that's the thing I have to find out. Did he do this on every Sunday? Was he, hey, I go to Costco where I don't have a membership? I mean,
the first to bring this incredible surveillance footage to light.
There it is. If they had a kid, what would their kid's name be? And I said, if it's a girl, it's Hunter. If it's a boy, it's Hunter.
Hosts the podcast and YouTube channel Gray Hughes Investigates. Gray was also the first person to obtain the surviving roommate's 911 call. Welcome back to the program, Gray. It's good to have you. I just want to start by saying,
Ashley, yeah, when nobody was supposed to have it.
It gave me chills. I wanted to ask you your first thoughts upon seeing these nonchalant actions of this...
Yes, what are your first thoughts?
Murderer just hours after he did what he did.
I think that's what it is right there. It's how casual he was, like it was just an ordinary day. There's no way any of those people around would have thought that he had any part in killing 4 people just about 8 hours prior.
These people don't even know that there's the murders yet. You understand that? You think that this woman got an alert? Hey, there's homicide. No, it's 12:24 right now. This might even be 11:30. There's not even a report that 911 hasn't even been called yet.
To that, he walks in there. I mean, he's kind of a clueless type person, though. It's it's pretty strange. You would go into a Costco without a card or something and think you can go in and buy a drink. It almost feels like that's why he was going around to these different places. He went there maybe to get that coffee drink.
What? Get there to get what? What are you talking about? He was about to say like something, and then it goes totally off left field. He's like, it's almost like he went there to what? And then, to go get this coffee drink. What are you talking about? Who the fuck goes to Costco to get a coffee drink that you can get at all these little huts that have like premium type, like get all the works? He didn't go to Costco to get a fucking coffee. I can tell you that. Okay. And if you think that, then I think that you're an absolute moron. Fucking go to Costco.
And then he goes over to, Kate's Cup of Joe. We'll probably see her in a minute.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
Now we're going to see Chris Como instead. I mean, come on, man. He just thinks that Brian's aloof. Brian's just a fucking airhead. Okay. So just wow, Then they have a little bit longer of a segment.
Video that's... Hey everybody, I'm Ashley Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious, and I nearly dropped today when I saw video that's just been unsealed after, almost 3 years of gag order in the Bryan Kohberger murders. This stuff, I can't explain it, but I am transfixed watching it. Up until now, we've really not seen anything of Bryan Kohberger after he takes that goddamn selfie, just a couple hours after murdering 4 kids in their beds. He cleans himself up in his shower, and then he takes a selfie with a thumbs up. So proud of his work, right? That's about 10 o'clock in the morning after his 4 a.m. murders.
If they would have thought that he cleaned himself up in that shower, then these cops are absolutely horrible. Okay? You would take apart that tub. You would take apart and get into those drains. That's what they did in the Matima. I'm not going to stop saying it. In that case, in Virginia, they took apart that bathroom and got in. So that here, let's get into the piping right here. laying some pipe.
Today, we're now seeing what he did after that. Surveillance video has now been released of Bryan Kohberger's every move after that selfie, that self-important, filthy, disgusting selfie. Turns out Bryan had a hankering for some groceries and some coffee, and he did what most of us do on any given Sunday. We go out shopping. We go to
the hell we do. Is football season. I'm not going to be at no Costco at 12:30. Okay. If I'm a 28-year-old male, okay. Why aren't you watching NFL?
stores. We go get coffee. But the rest of us
I'm not going to drive 40 minutes out of my way to go to a Costco for what? Go get a membership then? Because, hey, I'm going to start my new membership here. Like, no.
murder people just hours beforehand. So Gray Hughes.
He just acts like he doesn't know that he needs a card to get in the Costco.
From Gray Hughes.
Like.
Investigates. It's a YouTube channel show.
Do you really think that he doesn't know that?
Was able to get his hands on these videos first, and he put them together in a really good sequential way. And so I called him.
He really put these together in a good sequential way. What? This is how they were released.
And asked if he would just jump on this podcast with me to sort of do play-by-play and, narrate everything that was released and what we're seeing. But first, I just want to say a big thank you to you for supporting me and coming to this channel and watching my podcasts. I really appreciate it. I could not do this without you, without our Gray Hughes, who has the show on YouTube called Gray Hughes Investigates. Gray, this video is absolutely jaw-dropping, and I was so transfixed watching it. I wanted to ask you, just before we start showing it, did you have the same reaction I did? Like the hair stood up on my arms.
Just, I have her sped up. She's not on speed. She's at 1.5. But look at Gray's blink rate. I wasn't gonna tell you guys. I sped it up just so I can.
Yeah, I don't know if I felt like just like that, but I was looking at it like, man, this is so creepy. This guy had just killed 4 people just the same day, but like 8 hours before, and he's just driving around, hanging out, buying coffee, doing whatever normal people might seem to be doing. I don't think anybody looking at him thought, man, that guy's weird or creepy. Maybe they thought he was weird or creepy.
Wait a second. I was just gonna say that contradicts what you're saying.
Creepy looking, whatever, but
not someone you needed to avoid.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's go to the first. This is the first part of the video where he walks in to the Costco, all of these unsuspecting people around him. Walk me through what we're about to see.
Well, it looks like Kohberger.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say, let's go ahead and put this to rest. He is not walking around with double bag gloves on his hands. Would you guys see gloves on his hands? Do you guys see him double bagging his hands with gloves? The answer is absolutely not. So that was put out to the world that he was going into shopping places, okay, with gloves on. No gloves. So we can put that to rest, okay? It was insanity what it came out to say, that he was at these shopping places with double bag hands, like his gloves, and because it was about DNA that he's actually sipping out of a water bottle that he could potentially throw in the trash can. DNA.
He enters the entrance to a Costco, and he's obviously having a drink of something, but his left arm is sort of hanging low. It seems like he's holding his hand kind of strangely there, and then eventually
it seems like he's holding his hand kind of strangely. Oh my god, you guys, what? It looks like he's what? Come on, man.
He puts it in his pocket, and we know that that's the hand that had the Band-Aid on it in his selfie that he took just an hour and a half or so, or 2 hours before this.
But the greeter has stopped him, and clearly, I know Costco, you got to show your membership card, and he's not doing that.
I mean, isn't that like one of the most obvious things in the world? Who doesn't know that when you go to Costco, you need the card?
You can't walk in, and he got blocked, and that was it. Out he went. He didn't get any further. But you're right. He had his hand in his pocket, and that's the hand that we know now had the bandage on it in the thumbs up selfie, which had been taken just a couple hours prior to this.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely crazy. But you see that selfie, and that's one he took not too long after he went back to Moscow and then drove home. And then an hour later, he takes the selfie. Then an hour or so after that, he takes off and goes down here, and here he is, getting kicked out of the Costco.
So this is important to know. This is Clarkston, Washington, and not close to home.
And maybe the clothing that he was wearing. I mean, I can show you.
Nothing's close there.
You want a map where the.
So then tell me where we are and navigate here.
Yeah, like way up here. I have a bunch of maps and stuff on my screen, but way up here is Pullman, Washington, and then clear down here is Lewiston, Idaho, and then Clarkston, Washington.
Yeah,
and it's right here is the Costco, and I think this is the entrance he was in, I believe.
and then exits this direction.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see it, but like right here, this.
Put that next video up where he walks that car that we were looking for so long, vehicle that we're going to in Clarkson. Even though it was so small, that car, they were able to analyze probably in real time dozens and dozens and dozens of hours to find that little white Elantra making that trip.
Yeah, no, it's they have him. You wouldn't believe.
So I would be saying here, yeah, it's interesting that he has no problems with him being seen in public the next day. He has no problems with him being seen getting in and out of this white Elantra. Okay. Whereas if he would have just stayed home and did nothing, right, none of this would be able to be obtained. Okay. If you're all immersed in the criminal justice world and trials and courts and technology and cloud-based all this crap, you know, all of this stuff would exist. You know that your digital footprint would exist.
Some of the on that surveillance footage, some of the shots that they noticed. I mean, I'm talking about
tiny.
On a reflection on a car up in a corner. I mean, it's the weirdest thing.
It's incredible.
It's amazing work. But yeah, right here is where it's pulling out.
Okay.
You're just about to see it go here, and then you'll see it go up this direction, and then from there it kind of comes up, and then we'll be going to Kate's Cup of Joe, which is, I don't know if you can see it on the screen there.
So he gets in the car and he drives to Kate's Cup of Joe. Lindsay, let's look at that
Right.
next video. He's driven out of the Costco parking lot.
Lindsay, we love Lindsay. We met. Lindsay produces Ashley Banfield's this podcast, so we're huge fans of Lindsay over here.
Little teeny, Elantra, there goes to the left of your screen. Heading out, he's going to turn to the right and drive up that roadway. And the next video is going to be Kate's Cup of Joe. What's interesting is that he just drives by it, Gray. He doesn't stop at Kate's Cup of Joe. If that's what he was looking for, if he was looking to get a coffee.
That would tell you that he's not looking for that. That's what it would tell me. He's not looking for a cup of Joe. And whoever said that, that's what the PCA never said that. Okay. The PCA just said that the camera that supplies footage, you could see Kate's Cup of Joe, and they were having to describe that, but they never said that he went in. Like people read
or something to eat?
People comprehend, because I think people can read. It's a matter of, are you comprehending what's either being said to you, what you're reading, because that is what is lacking. Because it's just
explain where you'll see his car next.
It'll come in right at that on the upper right hand corner. There's a little hut looking thing with a roof on it. Something that's interesting to notice though is he doesn't come on that road right there. So you know that road that's right there outside? He seems
that's the Elantra there, right?
Right. He comes in, but it's almost like he drove across from the Walmart parking lot into Kate's Cup of Joe, because you don't see him on that street right before he's turning right to go in there. Because he's
also really slow. Are you noticing this? Driving really slow.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to when he was driving on Walanta Drive a couple times after the DoorDash driver got there. He's driving so slow watching that DoorDash driver. Just like
look at this. So there's another interesting thing that happens in just a second on the right-hand side of the screen. Explain what happens with the car, just as it almost goes out of frame there.
Yeah, it just stops. Like you were saying, maybe he is texting his mom or something at this time.
His car just stops right there. You can see in the left or the right part of my screen over here to the right in the corner, just stops.
And he texts his mom all the time. I don't know how many times during that day, but we know he was just before. What was that? Just before
maybe
he drove
was meeting up with
Moscow
Molly.
at 9 in the morning. He was on the phone. I think even while
and then
maybe he's meeting up with Molly or Justin Stricker.
He was at the house at 9 a.m. revisit, maybe looking for the night shift. He's on the phone with his mom. I'm wondering if she called.
You guys, if he revisited the home at 9 o'clock in the morning, are people, where's your brains? We would have that surveillance from 1112. Okay. If he revisited the crime scene, we would have him making a loop around Linda Lane. Okay. We would have all of this. There is no video of that. When cell towers are busy, okay, you can be passed off to another tower.
Him, or if he's got a phone call going, well, he's just stuck there. Like he's not pulling out. He's not waiting for traffic. So it was 12:40 when he was at Kate's Cup of Joe. Now he's driven from Kate's Cup of Joe 3 minutes by car to Albertsons. This is the parking lot of Albertsons. That's his car right there, right?
Yeah. So he leaves that Kate's Cup of Joe parking lot to go to Albertsons at 12:43:41, and then makes sense. About 2.5 minutes later, he's pulling into Albertsons right here, and he drives back, and you can see him. He sort of parks behind there he is in the upper left, pulling in behind sort of a dark pickup truck with a back on it.
So weirdly, this Albertsons parking lot is like right beside the Costco. So he left the Costco. He drove 3 minutes to Kate's Cup of Joe, did that weird little U-turn drive. This
behind 12.
This is the parking lot of Albertsons. That's his car. He's driven from Kate's Cup of Joe 3 minutes by car to Albertsons. This is the parking lot of Albertsons. That's his car right there, right?
Yeah. So he leaves that Kate's Cup of Joe parking lot to go to Albertsons at 12:43:41, and then makes sense. About 2.5 minutes later, he's pulling into Albertsons right here, and he drives back, and you can see him. He sort of parks behind there he is in the upper left, pulling in behind sort of a dark pickup truck with a back on it.
So weirdly, this Albertsons parking lot is like right beside the Costco. So he left the Costco, he drove 3 minutes to Kate's Cup of Joe, did that weird little U-turn driving slowly through the parking lot, and then drove the 3 minutes all the way back to the Albertsons, which is like the parking lots are adjacent to each other. There he is driving in. There's the back of the vehicle, another view of it coming into the Albertsons parking lot, which is like the parking lots are adjacent to each other. There he is driving in. There's the back of the vehicle.
I just thought of something, you guys. Holy shit. They have all these different camera angles, that you could have. This is the only cameras. Why are they not going and getting the camera angle that would show you the front part of the car for you to see if he has a license plate or not? If you believe that, like, where's that? Does that come when we go to like Bishop? Are we able to see, does he have a front license plate on there? If it was so important to get back then, right?
Another view of it coming into the Albertsons parking lot.
I can show you guys. I can show you how close they are if you want to take a look.
Yeah.
So here is this right here is the Costco, and then just right there is the Albertsons.
So the parking lots are butted up to each other.
Right. So he drove like 2.5 miles to get a coffee or something. I don't know. He's at Costco probably trying to get a coffee, and he probably went over to Kate's Cup of Joe and for some reason didn't buy one. And then he goes all the way over to Albertsons. But what something I just want to say something really quick. So earlier when he pulls into Kate's Cup of Joe, which is right here, let's see, yeah, right there. I think it's hard to make it out. But like he drove by like this.
Yeah.
You don't see him on the road coming this direction, even though he left Costco and went this way. So I'm wondering if he kind of went into even the Walmart parking lot for a moment and then came back over here and turned right and then turned into there. But we don't have that surveillance. But he definitely, you can't see him driving right there.
Yeah, he's just skulking around. He's like that. He's just a skulking human being, barely a human being. Okay, right. So now he's back at an Albertsons parking lot. It's 12:46. This is 9 minutes since he left the Costco and was blocked and told to take a hike.
Right there.
Any lot. It's 12:46. This is 9 minutes since he left the Costco and was blocked and told to take.
I don't see a. I don't see it on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Yeah.
Take a hike. And he walks into this Albertsons and he's caught on video from the back, like at the back of his head. But I think you can see him, right? That's him in the parking lot right there.
That's him.
Yeah. Even there, he just sort of walks. I mean, I don't know.
I think he walks weird too. I think he walks very strange to me. But okay, let me rephrase this. I would, if I saw him walking, I'd be like, he's not athletic. He's like kind of clumsy because he has like that sway, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would not be like, dude, I have to pick him first for, recess for me to. Sorry.
I mean, we might be overanalyzing him, but he just, the way.
Well, yeah, you're overanalyzing it, but
walks with his arms. I don't know. It's just strange to me, the whole thing. There he is, right there.
A waddler.
So he comes in and then they cut 6 minutes out because he disappears somewhere in the store.
Oh, they cut it out.
Yeah, there's two different clips. He put them together, and then there's 6 minutes of missing time because you can just still see him right there off to the left in the middle there. And then 6 minutes later, he pops back up on the screen.
He's at the self-checkout?
Shouldn't that be like mind-blowing to people? They have cameras all over the store.
Yeah, it's the self-checkout right there.
Over on the left side?
See, self-checkout.
There he is right there.
Check Atlanta.
You know what I keep thinking about all these people, all these unassuming shoppers on a Sunday, midday, literally brushing up against a maniacal killer who has just finished his handiwork, 8 hours prior. Can you just all the different cities?
We were in Pullman, Washington, just south of Pullman, based on and picked up on a couple surveillance shots right here that actually I have now. He's picked up on those. However, and it's the dirt. There's a tree, and apparently right under this tree. Let me get it so you can see it. There you go. Right under this tree here. When it was reported, law enforcement came out and saw that there was disturbed earth. So what if on the way there, the law enforcement drew this map, they just based it off of cell tower information. So what if he didn't do that and he kind of cut over in a different area, like over here, and then went up there early in the morning and buried the items there before going back into Pullman? So like at 5:30 in the morning, he would just pull 5:32 in the evening, 6, a hell of a lot better.
You would think that you would go digging out there.
Like way around that corner there. And
they did. They took his shovel and they tested it. They tested the soil, and guess what? It's from anything that it would be in Moscow area or the Washington area, because the last time I think that shovel was used was in Pennsylvania. There's a report about it in the Discovery.
I'm sure you could probably see.
Well, surely they had cadaver dogs going to that spot.
Surely? What are you talking about? No, they don't. If they would have, there would be a report on it. What is wrong? Do you guys not read? There's no cadaver dogs going out. There'd be a report on it. There has to be a report on what you're doing. I mean, give me a break. What are you talking about?
And anything, any kind of blood evidence, because there would have been lots, including the knife, it would be easily retrievable. You would be able to sniff that out.
Yeah, you think, but I think
it'd be easy retrievable. You just be able to sniff that out. Well, there's 0 reports of them doing any of the sort. So if it was just so easy, like you say, why aren't they out doing it? This is absolutely like, wow.
it wasn't reported until like 2 months later. So I'm not sure how that would affect, the blood being in the ground.
It would be there. It would be there for sure.
100%. But they didn't do that ever once. There's no reports of them ever even taking a dog anywhere. Never. Go find me a report where there's any mention about the only dog that's in any report is Murphy being passed around like a hooker on a fucking Friday night.
Or anything that he put in there, there'd be a scent, there'd be something. And I'm sure that the Moscow police did everything they could to gather every bit of evidence for the prosecution because they were lacking some things.
Well, in that document, though, it doesn't say that's what they did. He said he brought metal detectors out. They checked around, but there was disturbed earth when they got there.
They didn't dig it up and get a dog. I mean, that's crazy.
I don't know. They didn't do that, but they also checked this little, there's a bridge right over here where they checked in the water.
Where is the place where the woman reported to the police that she saw someone in Clarkston, Washington, I think standing in the median, dressed in
it's in a report.
Just down here, he was wearing like business casual, walking around.
A lot. Gray, he's heading to his vehicle. He's going to get into that vehicle. I don't know how long he...
And we don't know. I think they cut that out of here. Like we don't have to wait for him to sit in there for 6 minutes, but he did sit there. I think it was about 5 or 6 minutes. And then he pulls out and then takes off. This is a better view of that. So in the upper left-hand corner of right here, that's actually the top of the video. So
and that's where he's leaving. Again, haystack, being able to see that little white car in parking lot videos to try to track that Elantra.
I think what they did was they went backwards. So when they had him at Kate's Cup of Joe and his cell phone was there and they know that's his car, and then they sort of went backwards and were able to see that he was at Costco, and then they know for sure that he bought something at Albertsons. But I think they were looking at surveillance before they had any of that information.
Yeah.
Kate's Cup.
I just didn't have that too. It's like in any other kind of story, you'd be.
Where is Kate? Where is he at Kate's Cup of Joe getting coffee? Where is that? Where is that?
This car, after almost 3 years of a gag order, we knew to Pennsylvania. So I think it's for that reason that a dastardly deed.
Yeah, it is kind of weird just seeing him be act so casually. I think that's kind of the really the big takeaway from this portion of the videos is just
that and the showered up selfie.
So Ashley tries to enhance this or
getting rid of that evidence. You have a theory about a tree. Where is that tree? And can you show it to me on the map and tell me why you think it's
theory on a tree?
Yes, let me just let me move it over to the screen here. And there's this tree right here. I actually found it based on their document.
Where is this though? Where are we now in the scope of all the different cities?
We're in Pullman, Washington, just south of Pullman. So here's Pullman.
Okay.
And when he drove back that morning, he turned right on, I think it was Kirkendall Road right here. This is how they have it on the drawn map that they had. And he turns up here, goes on to Johnson.
And guess how they have that, Gray? This is what Ann Taylor was saying. Oh, where'd you get that map from? What were you using with that map? What were you mapping? The handoffs? You're using the timing advanced data? Gray, how do you think they have all this shit? And then they lie about we didn't have Brian's timing advanced. Bullshit, Gray. How do you think that you're able to do what you're doing right here? And even mentioning this street name. It's because they had his timing advance records. That's how they were able to do all of this. That's how they knew that he went to Costco, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you wouldn't know that he went into Costco. Sorry. But you would. I mean, guess who had AT&T in 2017? Liberty German. Liberty German is who had AT&T back in 2017. Her family. Whatever plan she was on, she had it. Do you want to know how, accurate AT&T is? Absolutely wild accurate. We could get it down to where the girls were, where that phone was at 151. There's coordinates on you. Coordinates. And that was in 2017. 2017. This is 2022. And the state and the government want us to believe, even though there is going to be so much proof that comes out here so soon, that y'all had his time in advance. You knew exactly where he was going, and he was GPS coordinate all over the place. Because you're getting his latitude and longitude.
And then he's picked up on a couple surveillance shots right here that actually I have now. He's picked up on those. However, right there, if you zoom in right here, there's a tree, and it was mentioned in the documents just after the paved road. And if you go to Street View here, like right there, watch this. So here's a paved road, and it's just after it turns to dirt. There's a tree.
This is where Gray Hughes believes that Bryan dug up dirt and buried his bloody clothes and the bloody knife. And my grandfather is saying, bloody Jesus, Lana. Bloody Jesus. What is he talking about?
And apparently right under this tree, let me get it so you can see it. There you go. Right under this tree here, when it was reported, law enforcement came out and saw that there was disturbed earth. So what if on the way there, the law enforcement drew this map, they just based it off of cell tower information. So what if he didn't do that and he kind of cut over
cell tower
in a different area? Like,
it wasn't off of cell tower information. It was off of Time Advanced Records. Time Advanced Records, not cell.
We're here, and then went up there early in the morning and buried the items there before going back into Pullman. So like at 5:30 in the morning, he would just pull over, maybe it was a pre-dug hole, and bury the items there. And then he goes back to Pullman. Then he goes down and scouts out. And then 5:32 in the evening, when his phone pinged right back in the same area here again, maybe he turned it on to get his bearing.
How does phone ping in that area again? How were they able to get it within 3 meters? I thought he shut off his. Okay, this is what just blows. This is what should blow everybody's mind. So, Bryan Kohberger shut off his Wi-Fi capability 2 days before the murder. Okay, 2 days before the murder, he's shutting off his Wi-Fi capability. Okay, and he's talking about pinging. Well, how is he pinging then? He's pinging off of what? What data? AT&T data? Bryan Kohberger has AT&T. This was all going to come out in court that you had his timing advanced records. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do and say the things that you're saying right now. Your mapping stuff. Where'd you get that map? When you were doing Cast Viz, where'd you get all of this shit from? Mallory, I don't know. Oh my God, I don't know. I didn't do anything until I was told to do it for the grand jury. So that means that you had no part in making the probable cause affidavit, and then you're doing everything after the fact and acting like that's how you got probable cause for him to have an arrest. What? Why wouldn't the person that made it all and did it all be testifying at the grand jury? Why are you? And we're asking you to do it 4 months after the fact. And before you have to go do that, we need you to be able to testify. So we need you to get a little class. Go take some classes with the FBI or with Cast Viz before you go testify, so that we can say that you did this again, that you have this knowledge. Yeah, Ann Taylor made you look like a fool on the stand, Maury. And when you interviewed Dylan Mortensen, you looked like even a bigger fool.
And then turned it off again at 5:36, retrieved the items, and then went and discarded them, knowing that nobody's after me now. The coast is clear. He's feeling a hell of a lot better.
So you think he buried them and then unearthed them and then discarded them elsewhere at a different time?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, because they did say that there were.
What? He buried them, then he unearthed them, and then what did he do? So he would be having to bring this shit into his car again. These people are out of their fucking minds, man. Out of their minds. You're going to go back and unearth the items that you just buried the night before. Wow. No wonder why he calls his team freaks. Listen up, you little freaks. If you don't start tipping me, God damn it, we're not starting this live. Why am I even here? What do we have in chat? Only 35 people. You guys, this is just ridiculous. I mean, if you're not going to support this channel, I don't even know why I do these lives. Listen up, you little freaks. Well, welcome to the bomb squad over here. And we just blow up the narrative. That's what we do. Have you guys ever seen him go off on his little tyrants for this channel? I mean, I can't believe I have 980 people in here. How many thumbs do we have? I can't believe you people. I'm not continuing on until we get the same amount of thumbs that I have people in here. He's wild as fuck. Oh, give a shout out here. New Orleans lady, baby. I love you back. Look at that wrench. Never looked so sexy. Fangirl Friday over here. Fangirl Friday with the freaks. Thank you so much. I want to say it's Dana with a Y. Dana Lynn, thank you so much. Toner expense fund. Get them toners. I'm waiting for him to say it to Banfield. I would ask Banfield, hey, are you a freak yet? Did you join my channel yet? Are you one of the freaks? Well, we're the bomb squad over here. We're the bomb squad.
Under that tree,
bomb squad.
A person saw a vehicle there during that exact time that his phone pinged.
Didn't somebody also say that if you go to that spot and you look, you would be able?
Why would she cut him off right there? That's the only part that you can remotely try to say would make sense. But then I just believe that hey, just some lady was like, oh, I saw somebody. I should probably bring it to your guys' attention now. You know what? Now thinking about that day, all this time later, I think I saw a white car and somebody just fucking around by that tree on November 13th.
To see a vehicle coming from a long way away without them seeing you if you're pulled over in that little notch.
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, if you're...
I remember hearing a report that's a spot where you could pull off the road and you would be able to see a vehicle coming if you're doing something nefarious and get out of there quickly if you needed to.
Yeah, I mean, definitely can like way around that corner there. And, I'm sure you could probably see.
Well, surely they had cadaver dogs going to that spot and anything.
She said, well, surely they had cadaver dogs. Well, surely you're mistaken. They didn't. They didn't. Where's the reports, Ashley? It didn't happen. Let's see what else they have to say.
That he's pulling out in front of right here. That's actually the top of the video. So
and that's where he's leaving. Again, I can't believe the amount of detail the police were able to find.
How do you?
That's like a pin.
How do you think they were able to do all that? How? They didn't get any of his financials until after he was arrested. The search warrants for his financials, which would mean that you're looking to see where you're spending like your debit card and shit like that. When did they get his financials to be able to then say, okay, here he was at this location, so let's go get all of this. Those are really, really important. That's why I tracked all the search warrants and put down the date that they went and asked for the search warrant. But then what's the most important part about it is when the return came back and when somebody actually then went through the returns, like once you get the material, then you have to go through the material and you should be documenting all of that in a report. Do you think that they did good reports? Go find me any reports where it's saying that they were going through a search warrant and that it led to them to find something, and that because of that, then they went on to the next investigative, hey, we're going to go get another search warrant because of this, I was able to find this, and we're going to put all that and get X, Y, and Z. Where do you see any of that? You don't. And so that would mean that either the feds did it or they're going to have huge gaps. And it's exactly how they were being questioned when it was like, Payne, what did you do in this case? What were you in charge of? Hey, Maury, what did you do in this case? What do you mean? What was, and then all the, I don't knows, I don't remembers. I personally think that Ann Taylor's kicking herself in the butt for not going to trial right now. Don't know why. I just have a gut feeling.
In a haystack, being able to see that little white car in a big parking lot with a lot of other white cars. I just wonder how many man hours and, eyeballs they had to put on these parking lot videos to try to track that Elantra.
I think what they did was they went backwards. So when they had him at Kate's Cup of Joe, and his cell phone was there, and they know that's his car, and then they sort of went backwards and were able to see that he was at Costco, and then they know for sure that he bought something at Albertsons. But I think they were looking at surveillance before they had any of that information.
Yeah.
What? Do you know how dumb that sounds? How did they work backwards? What would they have had? They got his phone records. The first thing that involves the name Bryan Kohberger is getting his AT&T. They got his phone number off of the ticket when they got his name through the tip. Then they put his name in. They see that he was in the system to get these traffic, stops. They have a phone number on that. Okay, then what? Then they see that he drives a white Honda Elantra, right? And so they're building all this to say that so they can get what? Why did you want his AT&T? Why did you want that so bad? Well, because it's going to give us a lot of shit. His AT&T timing advance records is what's going to give you a lot of shit.
I just keep coming back to it's like in any other kind of story, you'd be thinking, okay, big deal. It's his car. But there's something about seeing that man and seeing this car after almost, 3 years of a gag order, and knowing nothing about what this monster did after that selfie, after that thumbs up selfie. We knew nothing. The rest of the public knew nothing about this man's whereabouts until his dad came to pick him up and take him back home to Pennsylvania. So I think it's for that reason that I find it so gripping to be able to watch him frame by frame, what he was doing in the hours after such a dastardly deed.
Yeah, it is kind of weird just seeing him.
And let me just play devil's advocate there with you, Ashley. How that's going to look to a jury, though, is that this person went about life like it was like la da da, right? And if he was so worried about any types of scratches that he would have had on his body, his hands bruising, and you're going to have experts saying, I know that Scott Roeder said before there was ever even an arrest, he said, you wouldn't want anyone to leave that campus and you'd be checking everybody's hands because if it's constant, like you're going to have bruising. He's like, I don't even want to talk about scrapes or cuts. I want to talk about it's going to be bruised.
Act so casually. I think that's kind of the really the big takeaway from this portion of the videos is just looking at him and just thinking, how can anybody act like that after just killing
what they've done?
Yeah, and that the conspiracy theory people out there go, see, because he didn't do it. He's just he's just walking around because he didn't do it.
Oh, it's not the conspiracy people that are going to say that. It's how this would look to a jury. How you would, just with what you're saying, okay, you could make the same argument, you idiot. Okay, because either you believe that Bryan Kohberger is a serial killing psychopathic fucking lunatic, right? Which you're going to show here. He could just go about his day. Him stabbing and killing 4 people did not faze him. Okay? Or you have the argument that he didn't do it, and this is showing that he wasn't afraid to go out in public and let himself be seen. He has no mark. He has no bruising. He's taking selfies. He's being seen on all these surveillance cameras.
But he's acting natural. I mean, it's pretty shocking.
Yes, he just consigned himself to a lifetime in prison for no reason.
Right, with no chance to appeal, because that's what everybody does when they're innocent. Really,
right,
they don't even.
Right. And I'm with you on all of that. I'm with you on all of that. You would never do it like that. You would never say I'm guilty of something and then say, oh, I'm going to go appeal though down the road.
You'll fight like hell until the very last moment.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But it's the same thing when you say to somebody like, why aren't you screaming from the rooftops that I'm innocent, I didn't do this? And because you have the right to remain silent. That's why people don't do that before they go to trial, right? Well, if I was innocent, I'd be doing this. And your attorney's telling you not to say a fucking word. Okay. So there's just arguments both ways.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I keep saying to my viewers all the time that.
But this would never, if I'm a juror, right? And he never pled guilty and you're showing me this. How can you take this back into a room and truthfully debate and say that this proves that he killed anybody? Because it actually, if you want to talk about physical appearance,
I feel like we're all lambs to the slaughter if you can't recognize the wolf among us. And this is the frustrating thing. You see this guy, you see all of those innocent people who he's brushing up against, and you just can't recognize the devil, even when he's right next to you.
Yeah, that's, you know, when I was following the case, I've been following the case since the beginning. It's just,
I don't know if Ann Taylor was up for the task. Well, let's hear about Greg. I've been doing this since the beginning.
The whole time for me, it's just been trying to put the puzzles together. And I think it's one of the most interesting cases that I've ever covered. I mean, it's right up there. You know, Jodi Arias was a pretty big one back in the day. That thing was, you got to admit, if that case was today, that might be one of the biggest cases in the history of mankind.
Well, 17 days on the stand. I mean,
right. I mean,
when have you seen that?
I don't know. Like HLN used to have these like after.
Now they're having like, it's like they're on a dinner date. Well, I guess we're going to pass that up. It's Ashley and Greg's dinner date. I told you guys, Hunter or Hunter.
We'll do this. Tell us what happened. Instead, it's, you know, we were told that these guys just lie and stuff, and man, that's just lame.
That's bullshit.
You know, I know.
Wait, what?
And why? There wasn't.
You know, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And walk through your step by step and tell us where you put the knife.
I don't understand why there wasn't more of an elocution, because I've seen plenty of these deals, and those guys are meant to stand up and say, you tell us why the hell you put everybody through this, especially those parents across the courtroom. They did it for BTK, and that guy stood up and enjoyed every minute of his elocution, but they do it. They do force these people to stand up and say why you did this, or we will not spare your life.
And why didn't you do it behind the scenes even? I mean, why not say, okay, we'll do this. Tell us what happened. Instead, it's, you know, we were told that these guys just lie and stuff, and man, that's just lame.
That's bullshit.
You know, I know it is.
So think about that, what you're just saying right there. Think about that. Who's continuing to push a narrative and who's continuing to lie to the public? The fucking government. And I have a problem with that. It's like, how do you believe what they're saying with some stuff? And how are you picking and choosing what you're going to believe is the truth from the people that you can prove that are lying? Or that you think are lying? Then how come everything wouldn't be in your, oh man, well, they said this to us and we all thought that was bullshit. Just what they're saying right here. But we should believe what? Everything else that they're saying? Oh, but everything else is right. Do you know how, like, think about if you're a teacher, okay? Think about this. If you're a teacher and you got Tommy and you got Bobby in school and you're 5th grade teacher, and you catch Tommy cheating off of Bobby. Okay. And the way that you caught this at first is that, wow, Tommy and Bobby got the same exact grade. They both got 80% right. But then you look closer and you're like, wow, they got the same answers wrong. Okay. It's not that they got the 80% that's the same. It's that, wow, they missed the same questions. And then you go as far as to say, wow, they wrote down the same answers for their wrong questions. Okay? Now, if Bobby has already cheated once off of, that means every time that you would grade Bobby's paper, right, you're already thinking, okay, is this legit? Is this legit? Did Bobby really get this score because it's his work? And isn't there reasonable doubt to think that no, he didn't, because he already once cheated off of Homeboy. And that's what integrity means, and that's what trust is all about. And there would be no trust and integrity in this case if it went to trial. The jury would have no faith in the people that actually are prosecuting the case and actually investigating the case. And that is why Bill Thompson had to take the plea deal, and that is what's going to come out. I am telling you, mark my words, it's coming. If Bryan Kohberger is the killer, which he pled guilty to, you needed him to plead because he would have gotten off. And I'm sorry, I don't want killers getting off, okay? But I also don't want you violating my rights. And in this case, that's all the fucking that happened. Police officers lying in PCAs, prosecutors lying about what they went out and got. Like, you've had I'm the defendant, and you went out and got my timing advance records for my AT&T records, and you are lying to us, acting like you never went out and got them. And so therefore you're not providing them to us. What? But that's how you got all this shit that you got back in the day. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you have to ask yourself, why what's a big deal that they have the timing advance records? Who cares? Just give them to the defendant. Exactly. Why wouldn't you? Because what Cy said, the timing advance records are actually exculpatory. They're actually exculpatory because the handoffs show something different, and they does not put the car moving and going where they say at the time that they say. But that's how you got your probable cause, because because you're going with that white car at that time and blah, blah, blah. So we have to act like we never got those.
Just ask the question, and whatever, if you determine what he's saying is a lie, great. But maybe he'd want to tell the truth because he wants to tell you all the cool details. Some of these guys get off on that kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm just a lowly fellow citizen, right? But I feel so cheated and so unsatisfied by this. I cannot even imagine what it's like for the parents. And then I can't imagine.
I agree with that statement, Ashley, 100%. And the reason it's unsatisfying, though, is because of the amount of doubt in the case. Not because Bryan Kohberger just pled guilty and didn't tell you all the details, you idiot. It's unsatisfying to say, I'm going to go ahead and plead guilty because of how weak this case is and all the fucking fuckerage around it. That's what makes it unsatisfying, because it doesn't make sense. Things that are unsatisfying, it's like your reasonings for the unsatisfactory that you're feeling is not because Bryan Kohberger didn't tell you every fucking detail. Okay? I'm sorry, but that's just not... It's unsatisfying because of the doubt that there is.
How diverse they are in what is satisfying to them. Because for one parent, Steve Gonsalves, this was the worst travesty since the murder of his daughter, being cheated out of justice. For another parent, many of them actually, but the Chapins, they just wanted it all to go away. And from the very outset, Gray, they said, nothing is going to bring Ethan back. I don't want to be dragged through all this.
Yeah, and the thing is, I totally get their side. I could understand not wanting to have the years and years of appeals, having to show up to court, and then eventually it would just be something that would be lingering.
Never ending.
Yeah, never ending. It's just like having a missing child almost, right? You're just
listen, you get a death penalty, you are in this for the rest of your life. You are in. If you are 60, which I think Jim Chapin is, he's in his 60s, you will be dealing with these hearings until you die, because they will probably go on for over.
No offense, but you're going to be dealing with this every single day of your life, with or without this plea. Your son, your daughter was murdered. Steve, though, is like, you were lying to me after my daughter was murdered. How does a prosecutor have even the ounce of cahoons, the balls to even attempt to lie to a parent of a murdered child? How do you're sociopath, Bill, because I couldn't fathom doing that to a parent whose child was just murdered. You strung them along, Bill, for 2.5 years, because you could have brought a plea deal from the beginning and said, but instead you said, we're going for the death penalty. Why did you say that in the first place, Bill? Because it was leverage. You were leveraging the situation, weren't you, Bill? And you leveraged the situation at the expense of who? The parents. Because this could have ended 2.5 years ago if you wouldn't have said, I'm going for the death penalty. Well, why'd you say you're going for the death penalty? To scare the defendant into what? Okay, let's make a plea deal. And you also know that also puts way more pressure on Ann Taylor, because she has to do certain things if this was a death penalty case. I personally think that you have to advise differently. I'm looking into all of that. Because the moment that I think that Bryan Kohberger would have asked Ann Taylor what she thought of the plea deal, Ann Taylor then has to say certain things. And Bill Thompson would know that, right? Only Ann Taylor knows what she said to her client. Only Ann Taylor knows what she was saying to her client. But all of this mumble jumble, like unsatisfying, it's unsatisfying because the case isn't what mainstream media made it to be. And here's your mainstream media person saying that they're unsatisfied. Well, it's your fault. It's mainstream media's fault that it's unsatisfying. Because all mainstream media does is push a narrative, okay? And it is no longer innocent until proven guilty. It is the complete opposite. And what the media is actually supposed to do is to make sure that the government, we're the eyes of the government, to make sure everything's being handled and done right. Okay? We're supposed to be the checks and the balances for the government. And that's not what's happening. The media is now becoming puppets and being cheerleaders, not independent. And hey, this is what it is. Do you know how hard it was for the mainstream media people, and it's still hard for them, to literally talk about the Karen Reed case and to expose, like, why aren't we exposing, not exploiting, but exposing what truly happened in the Karen Reed case? You don't need Karen Reed to talk. You don't need Alan Jackson to talk to you, which I love, by the way. Alan Jackson, you see him do a sit down with anybody who mainstream media? Nope. Get effed. Okay. Do the tough stories. Put the highlight on the tough stories. Ask the tough questions, and make it past the sniff test. Don't just bury when stuff doesn't. And that's what happened in this case. They were all over in the first 6 weeks until there was an arrest, and then it all stopped. They were out here saying MP doesn't know what they're doing. They're letting Steve Gonsalves use a mic, and he's throwing his frustrations, right? He was basically the only family that was being outspoken. And then I believe that Stacey Chapin took a blow at Steve when she made a comment saying that we didn't do any of that. When she was talking with, what's her name? The girl from Othram, Kristen Middleman. I heard that dig. That was a dig at Steve. And I think that's wrong. I think that was wrong. They were saying how the Chapins took like such this great high moral road to get to where they're at. And it was like a dig that the Gonsalveses didn't. And that's the type of division that Bill Thompson and his team created amongst the four victims' families. And that's disgusting. They should have been a cohesive, collective unit, those four families. Have you guys ever heard of the word trauma bonding? How come in this case the exact opposite happened? There was no bonding between these family members over what happened. The exact opposite happened. It's because the people in charge divided and conquered. They were telling, hey, yeah, we're going to go for the death penalty for you, but we're really not. Hey, you don't want these pictures out? This is how you're going to do it. You're going to go ahead and put a stop by putting in this, go to sue us. Oh, hey, you want all transparency? Yeah, go put FOIAs in. Wait, what? You just told how these, like, the clashing is still continuing. You minimized what Kaylee went through. You minimize, if you're Steve Gonsalves, like, you minimize what my daughter suffered through on that night. So that parent would say, yeah, we're fine with not having the death penalty. You lied. You lied. So you're making all these emotional decisions, and while you're making these emotional decisions, all these family members, they're being lied to. Bill Thompson has been doing this for how long? This wasn't his first rodeo. We got to see how Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings, how they handle things in Idaho and Moscow. This case is how they handle things. The people that they use for information and witnesses, meth heads. Literally not functioning adults in society that keep fucking up with buying and selling drugs, doing drugs, figuring out ways to try to, they're doing stuff illegal, but let's mask it with DoorDash. Let's be DoorDashers. so that we can travel all over and say that we're door dashing, which we are, but we're really door dashing so that we can drive to these different areas so we can push our product. Remember what I told you guys? Nobody goes on DoorDash and thinks that they're going to go to a residence and walk around and be lost for 15 minutes. Time is money. Money is time. So, Ashley, I put half of this not going to trial on mainstream media from jump. If you guys wanted a trial, you shouldn't have acted the way that you did. If I don't think that I have a shot in hell to get a fair, dude, I need just one juror to just have doubt. Well, in this case, if there isn't, just like the Delphi case, if there isn't doubt, reasonable doubt, one juror, if I can't get one juror to see that there's reasonable doubt, because there is, because of the investigation, that's where the doubt comes from. Because they're going to be able to show how they messed up multiple times and that they knew that they messed up and then they tried to cover for their mess up and did more fucked up shit and lied. How can I find somebody guilty beyond a reasonable doubt when there's blood of other people in that house that are male, that are unknown, and that are mixed with the victims? How can I sign on the dotted line and check, yep, they're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? What the state was going to say is, hey, maybe there was more people there, but he was there. We got him. But why didn't you try to get anybody else then? If you went after, and that's why I think that you needed to use IgG and you needed to be talking about it, because if you went that route with IgG for that piece of material, that exhibit, that item, why didn't you do that with others? But if you're, and that's why the state didn't want you to talk about IgG. And I have no idea. I think I understood where they were going. If they couldn't talk about IgG, then how they ever say that they got to Bryan Kohberger type of thing. But then they agreed on this sanitized tip. And so I thought, way back in the day, I'm like, what are you doing? I know why the state wants to not talk about it, because you then could say, why didn't you use those tools for all this other stuff? It would put doubt into the jurors, and then you're going to explain, well, hey, that item, nobody died from a sheath, right? And they're going to have your experts coming in and saying that, could there have been two weapons? Yep. Look at this. Could that weapon have made those type of damages? Blah, blah, blah. And we don't even have the murder weapon, right? So could somebody have planted this in order to throw off that, hey, this is the murder weapon that we're looking for, but really it was a different weapon? And you would have had experts testifying to yes. And then you're going to ask why 911 wasn't called for 9 hours. And if at the end of that type of a case, if there isn't reasonable doubt, I don't know what it like. Sad. But he said he did it.
20 years. I still have cases that I covered when I came to the United States. 30 years ago. I still have a case that hasn't gone to the death penalty yet. She's still waiting on Texas death row. Wow. And I cannot imagine being the parent involved in all of that.
No, I think that would just be, like I always say, it's similar to having a missing child. You're always just, every day, there's never a normal day because you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the next thing.
What? I cannot believe that you would even say that. Hughes is a moron. That is nothing like that. That is nothing like that. A missing child, you don't know anything. Waiting to see if there's going to be an appeal again and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just appealing not to get killed. Not that they're going to be out in functioning in America. Unless they're fighting to get a new trial, which, again, you still have to go through whatever. But those are part of our rights. So, like, you have the rights with appeals. Like, so that's part of our justice system. So if you wanted to go the route of killing somebody, then understand that this is what's going to happen because of that. Expectations.
The next thing. And I think
sit here and say that you're comparing that to a missing child, you're absolutely fucking so far gone on that. And I don't think anybody would agree with you that has brain.
It turns out where I mean, I think that's where Bill Thompson failed us, is because him getting the answers from Kohberger, even if he's lying, whatever, and maybe asking where the knife was put or the clothing, that at least would give the answers that a trial would try to come up with. And that would be probably something that maybe Steve might have been okay with. At least you got answers, but there's none. There was absolutely nothing, just a deal cut and no answers, and just apparently we're all just supposed to be okay.
There's this report that he's going to give an interview. I don't know if the Idaho Maximum Institution is going to allow it, because a lot of institutions don't. Just ask the Menendez brothers; they're not allowed to do a TV interview. But there's this report that he's going to do a big sit-down interview, and that some big network might be paying for it, and may end up paying the family of Bryan Kohberger. I have my feelings about that, but I feel like the family of Bryan Kohberger, they've been victimized in a lot of this as well.
Wait, did you just hear her? Because this is where we're going to end. Did you just hear her subtly throw off the shoulder there that Bryan Kohberger is having a sit-down interview with some big, media company, and that the family is going to make a bunch of money off of this? Source, Ashley. Source. Because I know no source of Bryan Kohberger's is talking to you.
Well, they didn't do this. Their lives were just ruined as well. They've got the stench of this all over them for no fault of theirs. And, people will tear them to ribbons forever. And I feel very, very sad for them. And of course, I feel even worse for the families who lost their loved ones. We have gone on. And I know, Gray, you've got such a busy schedule because you've done this incredible piece of journalism today. I'm really thankful that you did this with me. Thank you for sharing the video. Thanks for doing the play-by-play. And thanks for being a dogged journalist.
Well, thanks
right there. She said a great word. Give kudos right there to Ashley Banfield. You did a great piece of journalism, great journalistic work here. Journalistic work. Imagine that. Why are we starting to use that word now? Why? Because they're moving to the platform of YouTube. You think Ashley Banfield was like, yeah, call me a YouTuber? She started a YouTube channel. Ashley Banfield's a YouTuber. Boom, she calls him a journalist and journalism. And I'm like, imagine that. Because I think that it is journalistic work. I think it's investigative journalism. It's investigative. That's what it is. It is what it is. Well, all right, going back over here because it is Fangirl Friday. So I'm going to read off a couple comments. What is that? Let's see here. What do we got? Okay. Okay. True Crime Design. Give a shout out. Love her work. She commented on my post about the new doc's state reply to Hippler's batch number 2. She says, Thompson making Hippler look up his response instead of copy, cut, and paste, like I was saying on my one episode, is the same energy as Gray Hughes on that body cam footage handing the cop a Ziploc baggie full of papers when was asked for his license and registration. Literally, I spit my drink out when I read this. I said, this is why I heart you. If you guys didn't know, when Gray Hughes visited the Moscow, Idaho area, he had gotten pulled over. He had gotten pulled over by the police. He was live streaming, and he hands the cop, license and registration. He hands him a Ziploc baggie. Just here, go look through this shit. And so True Crime Design says, because Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings wrote, one of their answers was, go back and read our April or our August, whatever date answer, because it's the same as for here. And so it says, Thompson making Hitler look up his response instead of copy, cut, and paste is the same energy as Gray Hughes on that body cam footage when he was handing the cop a Ziploc baggie full of papers when asked for his license and registration. And I thought, what great timing. Amy says the translucent video got removed. Don't know what video. But if that's not some funny stuff, it's funny. It's absolutely funny. Next up, Susan B66 says, Lana, the hardest working babe on the tubes. Never stop kicking down the doors. Cheers. Lorraine 1210 says, again, same video when I was talking about the docs. This is funny. When we first heard about Molly and her hubby, Charles or Charlie, getting shot, Pav looked into it. They didn't go there to fix the door. Allegedly, they went there to steal his stash. It's always stuck with me, and she does seem to be around where Ruggs and Trouble are, speaking about Molly. A bit like that Zinn guy in the Charlie Kirk case. I mean, just how unlucky can two people be? We've been screaming this over and over. Dude, there's hardly any murders in Moscow, yet Molly McMichael was literally at 2 of them over however many years now. 7 years. Hey, Lana, is it true that the Innocence Project is going to take on Bryan Kohberger's case? I've heard that the Innocence Project was reached out to because there's DNA in the case. Whew. Next up. Now, this is the video I showed of Molly McMichael getting her blood being drawn to see if she had substances. And the guy comes back and he says, well, it takes us like 18 months to get those results back. And the statute of limitations is 2 years. So chances are we're probably not going to be able to prosecute you because, and I'm like, dude, does this guy not know that 18 months is not 2 years? That's who we're employing in Pullman, Washington. People thinking that 18 months is 2 years. Wow. Miss Pottage says, this is amazing. I'm so glad you're still really looking into this case. I don't trust anyone else to see what you can see. Well, I trust all of you guys. Danny Girl says, the prosecutor will probably request charges for DUI. That's what the guy said to her, the cop, in quotes. Then Danny Girl says, Molly thinking, so glad I'm friends with Bill Thompson. Fucking dead. I was like, damn. I was like, that is great. Because that's exactly what she was thinking. Well, I don't have to worry then. As long as the prosecutor makes those calls, I'm in. Richard Brennan says, 18 months to get blood work back sounds like BS. Right? 18 months to get blood work back. What? Butterfly. This is really some bullshit. Bryan has nothing to do with this. Shaking my head. This video tells me so much. Again, the video I think is absolutely absurd. Okay. Captain Log said, what is likelier? A person who door dashes with her ex-con man with a history of drug convictions and adjacent to murder is involved, or an autistic PhD student with dexterior issues? I've been saying this for years. What's more likely? Mary Holt, we love you over here, Mary. Again, this is Fangirl Fridays in the mornings. Mary says on that same video with Molly, hey, Lana, I am listening to you on replay. What in the world is going on with everyone in that area? I think it's been going on for a while. It's as if everything is upside down and backwards with what I am listening to. God help us if this law enforcement if this is what they're supposed to do to protect and serve. Your laugh is contagious. Without a little laughter, this case would drive us all insane. Thank you, Mary. We enjoy you here, and your comments are always usually spot on. Lana, the video you reviewed about selling rugs to cops and shit. Well, how do you know it was taken down? Maybe she took it down herself or his self. Who even knows who behind that channel? Beth says you can bet in-depth DNA back in 2 to 4 weeks, but 18 months on a drug test, there is no way. 18 months for blood work. Dude, crazy. The butler did it, commented. So we're just supposed to believe that the last person to approach the home that night is a quote unquote DoorDash driver who had a known drug dealer shady boyfriend the police were potentially trying to entrap by buying from off of Facebook for meth and for fentanyl, and who has multiple run-ins with law enforcement. That's all just nothing to be concerned about. Nothing to see here. I think what's more amazing is that Ann Taylor didn't know anything about this and didn't look into Molly McMichael and didn't even know who Molly McMichael was to, I think, look into her in a sense of, because you don't think that people are hiding stuff from you. This was a huge part of the case that was hidden from the defense. That just tells me everything. Lana, can we call law enforcement and ask how long blood work takes? Yeah, think about when hey, we'll let you know in 18 months, if you have something wrong with you. What? Stringing you along to keep doing more bullshit for them. Extra Terrestrial Highway says, here is my take for what it's worth, LOL. When everyone first said that they thought the camera times were off, I was thinking no way and Ellie wouldn't manipulate these other cameras, etc. Now I'm really starting to lean towards it being possible. It truly makes more sense knowing what we know, that law enforcement was making loops through Queen Road, saw people walking up at 1122, one being a blonde at 257, which is good timing for when Maddie called Bethany at 2:53 about the dog missing. You guys, I can assure you that there was no loop around at that time, but I can also assure you that they were parked at the whites, because then they pull out of the whites, stop, and they're pulling over the people with Banfield, But whether the times are right or wrong, okay? If you just focus on the report and Jacob Tisdall lying in his report and saying that he cleared a scene at a certain time that he didn't, it was covering for, have you guys seen the videos? I'll show you the videos. There's more. We have the camera from Indian Hills Trails over there. We have from Ridge Road. We have the Bishop. It's so that they're making it so that their car that they're in can't be the Ridge Road camera, nor could it be the Indian Hills. And actually, I should show you guys. That's really, really important. Hold on, let me get off this and I'll bring this up. Okay. All right, let me show this. So these are the other parts of the videos. Give a shout out to our girl Plunder, another So this is 787 Indian Hills Drive at 3:26 a.m. This is really important because I'm going to make myself small and make this bigger for you guys. Here is, this is that Nest camera she just went and hit up at. Oh, hey, do you still have your Nest Ring camera at 787? We're going to need that. We're going to need that. What can you tell about this? Right there. What kind of car is that? Plunder put the true crime in just the worst spot. Right there, that's it. Right there. And then there's another look. Let's see. Okay. Then this is Ridge Road 1125. So let me go like this again. So this is going to be the car that they're saying is at 329, and it was coming after the 326, and they're saying that this is the same car. Okay. And I said, well, how do you not have that car driving on the main on any of the main streets over there? And then they're going to do a different view, which is at, let's see, right here. So the 1125 had 2 cameras. And so after it would pass to go towards East Lauder like it's doing right now, there it is. They're saying that car right there is at 329 and 6 seconds. Then it's that white car that we just saw. And then so somebody would be tested, like, this is how they're connecting at 329. This is the Linda Lane camera view that they're using to say, then here it is at 329. You can see right here. This is why it was so important to not have the timing advance records, because you're putting all your eggs in the basket of that right there. And then voila, what happened is poof, this camera then goes away for the duration of until 4:05 or 4:06. It goes offline. So then at 3:30 and 16 seconds, like they're showing that it coming up around. We already saw this one, so I'm going to go through that. Then the next one is, this is Paradise 451 Paradise Drive. There it is. They're saying it's the same car. Now look at the lights there. See how the light, it looks like it goes all the way across. This is at 3:35. I can tell you right now that is definitely not the same vehicle. If you're asking me, because of the lights, it goes all the way across. That's not how the Elantra goes. And they would be testifying that no, it's just illuminating that way. They're really not connecting. But I bet you anything that they'd be making that argument. And these are the ones that they said that they couldn't. The FBI was like, yeah, we can't make a description off of that. Right there, up in the corner. So this is another angle. This is at 3:35. And this is a different angle. Again, same. So that's at 3:35. Now that just moves camera angles because the guy had 2 of them. So you can get that. There's 2 different cameras. There's the shop side, and then there's the street side. And this one was at 3:43. Look at, you can't even see a car. So they're saying at 3:43, they're just using the fact of at 3:43, or I'm sorry, hold on, it's going to jump. right here. At 3:43, this is what they did in the Moore case, kind of. Right here, all you can know is that a car is coming down from Ridge, or like leaving like out like Walenta, and that you're coming all the way to the Paradise where you have to go right or left. And they're saying that this headlight is that same car, and you could just see like a little bit of it. And then they said that this car, the reason that it's not on the Ridge Road 1125, because that's where you'd be heading down, that this car turns around and makes a U-turn. And I'm like, wait, what? And so because I backed up, I was like, no, this one was at 3:43. If a car is making a U-turn, then why isn't it coming back up? And instead it goes to 3:48 to show it, hey, it left on that other loop again. Here it is. And they're just saying that that's that car. And I'm like, okay, well, when's it going to see? It comes back. It's wild what they're trying to claim. And they're going through this stuff so quickly that I'm just like, whoa. Back that last one up. There's no way if you're coming down, pulling down at 3:48 and 50 seconds, that's right there where they were claiming that it appears that the car made a U-turn. You want to know why they had to say that? Because it doesn't appear on the 1125 Ridge Road camera is what they're saying. And it's like, maybe it did appear, but it wasn't the car that you guys needed it to be. But this is what they were showing. This is what they were going to show the jury. But there's huge gaps. It's like nobody else could be driving a car over there. So going back over here, this is the Ridge Road 401. Okay. So this is after it would have, this is the footage that they identified the vehicle by. When the car comes right there. That's what they're making the identification off of. They paused it right here. Zoomed in, and this is what they're saying is right there. This is what they gave to the FBI, and they said, yep, this is our 2000, when they put out the BOLO, 2011 to 2013. And then they switched it and said, okay, yeah, it could be a 2000 and all the way up to 16 or whatever, you know. And so there's going to be another camera angle here in a second. So this is at 401. So again, then they get this 401 because it's coming down from Taylor. They're trying to show. This is the other. And what's interesting is, thank you so much. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's back up. You want to pay attention over here to the left. And can you tell if it's coming which way on Taylor, off of Taylor by the, so let's see. If you go right there. See how it came from the opposite way? It did not come. This is coming from Taylor, like it's coming over from, this is what I've been arguing the whole time. After they were done with their little signage ordeal with those, the undercover guys, they were done with the sign guy. This is undisputable proof. And this is why Jay Lawson said, everything about this car is coming from the wrong way. Okay. You need to come from Taylor, like you just left up out. Okay. When you would have left at 358. Okay. You made your loop around because you're the 356 car and you're looping around and you're leaving at 358. And then you would have made what? A right onto Taylor. And so if you're coming Taylor, okay, then that means you're going to be making a right onto East Lauder to come down, and then it becomes Ridge. This vehicle, that's the 401 that they made the identification off of, it is not coming from and heading east on Taylor like it should be, it's coming from the other direction. It's coming from Identity Apartments, which is the undercover vehicle. This is why they had to get rid of the Linda Lane camera footage, because this proves beyond any reasonable, like this proves it's a fact that the 356 to 358 car, okay, it did not go Taylor. It went Walenta, right? Well, Ann Taylor put in a request when she said not only did she want to know that they had a Fusion that they drove around for undercovers, she then asked for everybody's personal use vehicle. What kind of car did you personally use? What was your personal use car? Okay. It also shows, regardless if you want to talk about, could multiple people be involved in this and they're using multiple cars that were the same? Well, that's kind of what it would look like, especially with all the blood. But let's take a look here so everybody can see. Over here on the left, this is Ridge Road, and you are going to see right there, that's like, looks like a little star, but it's the beginning of the headlights, and it's coming. See that coming down and around? So if you back it up, we want you to pay attention to this left side over here through the trees. You're going to be able to tell, is the car coming from which way on Taylor? Is it coming? Could it even be coming up from where see that? It's turning in and on from coming from, like, if you were on the main 95, like if you were over there. It's not coming from Taylor by over where Sigma Chi would be. So this is why Jay and Ann Taylor were like, we'll handle all of this in trial, this part. She wanted, in her motion in limine, it was about refraining from saying certain things. Like, you're not going to link these cars as all being one because it's not a continuation. Okay. But can you imagine being the FBI agent on the stand, and when you're going to be asked, which way did that vehicle come from? East Lauder is really short there, and it has to come off of Taylor in some direction. Which way? Can you tell us? I guarantee you his response was going to be that he couldn't tell. He couldn't tell which way it was coming from. You can't tell which way that car is coming from on Taylor? I think everybody and their mother can tell which way. You tell me which way it's coming from. It's definitely not coming from the left side of the screen, like it's coming off of Taylor from Sigma Chi area. It's definitely not doing that. Oh, here it comes one more time. Right there. And this is at 4:01 and 37 seconds, right? So we'll back it up. So we have this view, which is straight on, and this is 4:01 and 22 seconds. I was like, wait a second. Hang tight. I was like, if this vehicle is coming at 4:01 and 34 seconds down and around, then we have a problem here, because this is at 4:01 and 38 seconds. That means when it turns. So let's go ahead and back that up to here. Oopsies, right here. 4:01 and 4 seconds. Let's see what time this turns on us. These clocks aren't right. 4:01 and 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, is it? Is it right? 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Here it is. 45. Okay, so then if that's at 45. again. 17, 18, 19, 36, 38, 39. Again, this is running fast, so. All right, there we go. I think they're accurate then. At 38, you're there. If anything, they would just be off a couple, like 1 second, but I think it's accurate. Okay. So then this vehicle right there that goes. This vehicle is going the wrong way on Ridge Road, and you have no idea where it went. And why aren't you showing the? This is also what's crazy. Okay, let's play. Why don't they have a Paradise 451 camera? So what I mean by that is we're going to go back to Paradise. Paradise would have been right. We'll come back to that one. We'll come back to that one. Where is it? Right here. Where is this? If there's a car that's coming up and driving, right? Because it's coming from Ridge Road, why don't you have a 402 and some change? Why wouldn't this pick up anything? And it's saying that it didn't pick up anything because he stayed so close to the right side and turned right up that it didn't motion it. It didn't hit the motion detector. And I said, wait, excuse me? I said, wait, hold on a second. What hit right here? What motioned this? Right here. What the fuck is this thing doing? What motioned that? This right here. This 451 Paradise right there. It's black. It's pitch black. What motioned this surveillance to pick up the fact that the car would have been this? There should be one for 401 and 402 in like 10 seconds or something. Look at. See the headlight right there? But it was already running before there was ever even a headlight. They're such fucking liars. They're just so you guys know, there is no vehicle that is coming up or that Paradise catches that it should catch the Ridge Road car going up and around. They are liars. This is motion activated camera supposedly. Well, it was just pitch black. What set it off? And they're going to say, okay, ready? Here's the lights. And there it goes. And they're going to say on the first time that it came by, or I'm sorry, on the 401, 402 time, that those lights, he didn't go straight on Paradise. He went back up, like he just went around towards Walenta. And so it didn't set it off. I said, wait, this is pitch black though at the 3:35 time. What set this off? It's just all too convenient of times that you would be trying to connect this, like a camera that should be right after another camera within the right amount of seconds. It's not. It makes everything so gappy. And they're trying to say, like, yeah, it just didn't pick it up because the sensor just didn't go off. But here, see, we have this car though, all right. I said, okay, if this is even if he's coming around at 402, you would be down. And they're trying to say, yep, it's this car right here coming down around. I'm like, you're so full of shit. So wild. So what do you guys think? I'm going to rewind back a little bit more on different parts. I'm going to show you Bishop. Where's the... Okay, this is what they used over at campus. This is Bishop. Or I'm sorry. This is Sunset Mart. I'll go to the Bishop one. So this is the one, though, that's at... this is at 526. And that's supposed to be the car right there. So, right there. That you guys just saw. Right there. This is another one on Sunset Mart. Again, what time is this? This looks like it's can we get a time? This is on 9:13. What? 9:13. No idea when this is from. Oh, here. This is the only version that we get the car coming straight onto us. Okay, ready? There you go. All right, let me slow this down. It's going too fast. Make this even bigger. This is the only version that I've found where if you zoom in, no front license plate. And then behind it, you can see the white big semi that's coming. So I'm guessing how they want you to look at this is go over here. Right there. Oopsies. So pay attention. There you go. That's the back view of it. And you're going to see that you're going to have the semi come into, right. This is Bishop. Well, where is that semi? Well, I call bullshit now. That semi seemed like it was way closer. I just don't trust anything that they put out. What do you guys think? What do we think? I want to know how they had all of this past the 30 days. Well, there is no bug guard, right? So the question would be is when did he put that on? Okay. So When did he put the bug guard on? Let's go back to here. This is Indian Hills. Yeah, I want to go to the Indian Hills section. So this is the 755 house. And this is the camera angle that they have. This is the driveway that... Are those coyotes? So this just runs... See, 326, 320, so it's just running. And... we hear a car coming. Okay. So then after that, then this is 763. Where is this angle? Is this like the side of the house of this house that's next to this house? But check this out. So you guys know how like Indian Hill kind of will wrap you all the way down if you go, and you can go right past the police department. 326. Oh. I'll start from the beginning. All right, this is going to be a minute long once the... So let's see where we see any headlights, or maybe they're using this to show that no car comes this way. So it has to be that the car is going the opposite way. How convenient that you would just have this camera right here to be able to prove that the vehicle... Oh, here we go. I see some lights. Is that what they're going to use? Oh my God, up there in the left corner. No way. Wait a second. No way. Okay. Look over here. That's this vehicle. I don't know if there's something like on this, maybe a car that's parked on the side of the street. And you can see up here in the left-hand corner, you're just going to see lights shine on. Right there. Wow. Look at right there. $787. Here's the car. This says it's redacted though. What's redacting it? What needs to be redacted in this? Yeah, we need to go take a look at. I'll do it later, but that's crazy. So Ann Taylor was like, okay, you guys were asking for camera footage that were in the area, like in that immediate area. So Ann Taylor was like, how did this come about? Who reached out? How did this person say, hey, I was going through, my camera and this is what I found at that time? Because the areas that you were wanting, it's obviously going to be like right around there, right? So who did this? Lo and behold, they put it onto Danny Vargas, and they say, oh, Danny Vargas just hit up this owner and said, hey, do you still have that Nest camera? Can we get that Nest camera? Can you look and see if there's anything on it from this timestamp to this timestamp? And then poof, here we come. And so the question would be like this. This white car can just be anywhere, right? We have to find, hey, can you go ahead and can you look and can you see if there'd be a car between 3:20 and 3:30? Can you go look through your Nest? And can you send me anything that you would find? Lo and behold, poof. Like there was no other phone calls by Danny Vargas to ask other people that she's ever worked with like before in a case. Oh, I know they have a Nest over here or they have a Ring or whatever. She makes one phone call and poof, this appears. Well, you want to know why you would only need to make one phone call? Is if you knew there was a vehicle in that area and are you going to try to potentially pass it off like it's. But then the thing that's interesting is you would have already had the Ridge Road camera, which they did, and they were trying to get a vehicle that they could use to connect to be, hey, what's like, we need a vehicle that we can say that's, and I'm just like, if he's just driving all over and he's just so nonchalant, right? How do they not have one video on the main strip of 95? How is that possible? How did he get into the Indian Hills area without being on one of the cameras of like the businesses? Like, what? That's pretty wild, right? Because I could see if you asked like 15, 20, 30 different people, like that would make sense to me. Not that you're just asking one person and voila, that was the street that they were on. That doesn't seem like good police work to me. That just seems like that there was something there at that time because you didn't need to go anywhere else. Good police work is when you go to an area and you're asking for every single person in that area's stuff. And then you go to the next street and you're asking for every single person. That's just what would seem like good police work. And then just how convenient that Linda Lane is just going to stop filming from after 3:30. Right after, mind you, we can show that this car is that. Like, oh, look at, here comes. Look at, it's that car. It's that car. And then right after that, poof, 3:30. 3:30, this camera goes black. Do you want to know what that would tell me? That would tell me that somebody has intel. Somebody would have intel if to know that this camera goes at the dark period because it reboots or whatever from 3:30 to 4:05 or whatever every single night. Because what is the odds? What bad luck for Bryan then, or whoever this is, that if you would have just been 1 minute afterwards, 1 minute, this would never have had that. If you would have been driving at 3:31 instead of 3:29. Can you imagine that? Now, some people would say, wow, that's really bad luck. Or you could say, wow, it seems like somebody knows that the camera shut off and there's not going to be anything to connect anything from 3:30 to 4:05. And Stone says, I don't believe that there's a gap. It's just a reason for why it's deleted. I just call it, which it's just sick. Okay, what does that car sound like? Can you use the sound of this car to think that you can take the sound from? So I'll play it from back here this is at. Oh, here. I think it's interesting that all the other ones that we have, the camera up in the corner. Okay, here it is. 3:26 and 34 seconds. Freaking sounds like a plane's landing. What's up? Crazy, huh? Do you guys know that on Walenta, there is not a camera? There is not a camera. There is not a single camera. Okay, let me rephrase this. People have cameras on Walenta. Okay, that long, windy. People have Ring cameras. Do you understand that they were unable to get any footage from any of the Walenta residents? What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? No footage from any house on Walenta. I love the sound of the owl in the background, says Mark B. Wow. Again, just good police work is that you have all these options and that you're going through everything and you're hunting like a needle in a haystack. But the reports say the opposite. The reports say that there was no hunting for the needle in the haystack. Okay. What the reports say is that there was nobody out and well, they try to make it seem like, yeah, we went out and got this. Yeah, you got all this stuff from Walenta. Is it because there's nothing there? Is there nothing on those cameras? Isn't that a problem? Because what that would tell you is that a car being back there is that they drove into a driveway and they parked their vehicle and they went home for the night. So those cars that are coming back and forth and you can only just see headlights, they're just over here saying it's just the same vehicle. It's just the same vehicle. Well, no, we know that there's a couple times where it can't be. It has to be multiple vehicles. But nobody on Walenta has any or any of their cameras just weren't working or didn't catch anything. I don't know. The investigation that didn't need an investigation because Othram handled it, guys. Othram. I find it very interesting that none of the other unknown male single source DNA went to Othram to identify who those people were. Just so that we could say, oh, well, yeah, they've been in this house so many times. Like, it wouldn't be, yeah, their DNA could be here. But there was blood, mixture of two of the victims in somebody else's DNA. That's kind of strange. On the knife sheath. Wow. Othram and AT&T solved the case. All right, everybody. We are going to call it. We are going to call it here. Thank you for joining me on the morning edition of Fangirl Fridays. Again, lots to be discussing over the next 5 days. Lots of movement here. Turtle Boy case, Karen Reed case, Shanna Gardner, Jared Brightigan case, Delphi, obviously the Idaho 4. We should be hearing from Hibbler soon with how he's going to rule and order and start unsealing things. As soon as Moscow Police Department wants to say, here you go, here's your Molly McMichael interview. I can only imagine what they're going to be redacting out of this interview, because all the stuff that Officer Payne would have wrote down would have seemed like it was a pretty decent, lengthy conversation. And they said that my big mega ask for that I put in July the 28th, it's almost done. And I realized that that's not how you should ask for things for them. Just one thing and just do a bunch of individual ones, because I don't think they can handle one large request. I try to help them and say, here, I bet a bunch of people would want this, so they don't get it. Genuine says that Cyray will never have his gag lifted. I talked to Cyray this past week. He's speaking. Don't you worry. Some people just have integrity and are going to do things the right way. He's speaking. And he most certainly is not blackballed or blacklisted in Idaho/Washington. So whoever has tried to say that is absolutely wrong. In fact, I think he's already doing something over there. So, all right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think in the comment section of the video. Cheers.